I'm going to comment through this. So I just realized the distinction between me and literally all of you. I mean, this was a popular show. That doesn't mean everybody watched it. You can argue that it isn't a representation of a mass psychology that is, because it's so prevalent, it appears that the democratically speaking, so to speak, that's why I say democracy is a house of mirrors. Part of the system, the matrix, is a house of mirrors. So like democracy, you think it's like works better than other systems because it's like has some kind of intrinsic universal value that can be seen replicated throughout existence, therefore validating it. I don't know. I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying because this is hard for me to. This is my own breakthrough about me. Actually, let's take this back. This is more about me. Okay, I'm externalizing this too much. This is right now. So I'm pointing the finger, but like they say, even, there's three pointing back. I don't think they say that. I think they say four pointing back. But um, let me go back then. Get my finger out of that shot and say, reverse it, rather than me saying this is telling me what's wrong with you. Let me say this has revealed to me what's wrong with me. What is most likely, if it's a wrong, any wrong that exists within the realm that we're exploring has to be associated with a, for the most part, causal effect, or for lack of a better word, causal effect, or preceding stimulus. I guess stimulus in itself suggests preceding. Anyways, so I would then, as an injury, project it out, and that's my finger pointing, and say, ha ha, look how this, I'm literally doing this, I am saying, this is my point that I thought I was making initially before I started to reverse this, is I started this off because I wanted to say, haha, this is what makes you guys weak. But if it's the reverse and I'm the injured party and I'm projecting the injury externally, obviously externalizing it onto all of you and saying, you're weak because I don't have the courage to face my own weakness and the injury and delve into the injury, because in the realm of the psyche, time doesn't exist. So how could a trauma that happened, when you try to make sense of it, how could a trauma, another way of externalizing it and projecting it as a sense of in the past, that's a form of projection. That's a breakthrough I just made right now. Booyah! So, because time doesn't exist, when you say that happened in the past, that in itself is that in itself is a projection that, okay. In the past doesn't exist. in the psyche. What does that mean? Oh, if they're because of the conversation, some people are more exposed to the ideas of 5D. Or is it 4D? Yeah, and this is 4D, I guess. So in the sense that they're expanding and showing, they have some computer generated stuff where, like, you show 1D and then you go to 2D and you see how there's a different plane extended, and then 3D. But so there's some kind of point, like, oh, that's what it was. In 1D versus 2D, the dot can only see that part of the 2D line. Then in 3D, the line can only see what we call a slice of the 3D entirety plane. And going back to that 1D can only see a dot, for lack of a better word, of the 3D as well as the 2D. So then they theorized, therefore, 4D, it might be 5, why my brain wants to say 5D, but it doesn't make sense that they'd go, anyways, 4D would be the next D. There we go. The neo dimension, the new dimension. Yeah, because who knows? We don't have to, we'll get to whatever we get to. But the new dimension and the neo dimension would be a term that would be able to encapsulate the possibility that, like, we can look, we're at 3. Are we? So we're at 3. We could look back at 2 and 1. There's no reason to say we don't discover 8 or 11 or 99 before we discover 4 somehow, and then figure out a way of looking back. But anyways, whatever it is, the theory would be that what we consider 3D would only be essentially, oh, this is a breakthrough right here, back the equivalent of 1D to us. That's why 4D doesn't make sense to me, because it's like the scale up is, I don't see it as, I get where the origin of this thought process comes from. When I was introduced to Marshall McLuhan's writings, that totally took my mind to another level. What really blew me away the most from what he was saying, in all, that caught me, that convinced me immediately that he is correct. Well, correct is not the right way, but and advancing is not the right way either. He is, focus is not even it, because open, he would make a point. He wouldn't probably take kindly to being called a focus individual, because he considered himself a probing individual. But I guess the summary, I don't know if this is what he said, but this is how I summarize it. And if it is more of a failing memory of what he said. It's not necessarily my wording then. It's just me trying to find the words but it's something along the lines of as far as human evolution goes, the stage we're at right now is the equivalent of the first rung of a new ladder. So while everybody else that has a basic concept of evolution thinks as a completely ascending, so to speak, and as much as but it's not a perpetual ascension, but that terminology is mind altering in its own right. That to see evolution as a ladder, chutes and ladder. I used to play that when I was a kid. So going from the origin of mammals, technically. Anyways, we'll just go, evolution to would it be the formation of life? Or just primates? I don't know exactly how to say it, so I'll just deal with primates. Okay, so from the introduction of primates into existence on Earth to the advent of what he calls the electric age, which he assigns, I don't know if he actually assigns it a time, but at which point some people would call it the nuclear age, right around that time. That's a good way of, I like the nuclear age, but he calls it the electric, which I think is more appropriate, but just for the sake of delineating a time. Even though the electric age, no, I'm pretty sure that's about right around there, right? Yeah. I mean, you can go a little further back, obviously, but so that was one ladder. And we made it. We're the highest. We reached the highest height. And then Marshall McLuhan's the motherfucker that goes, oh, look, here's a whole new ladder. And everybody else is like, no. Because their perception of reality is a sense of elevation equates to superiority. And I mean, you just got to get past that to be excited about the next ladder. The adventure. All the adventures on that ladder. All the adventures to have on the next ladder. From where we got off that ladder, from where we got on that ladder to where we got off that ladder. And to think, where we get on this ladder, can our imaginations just, what is at the top of this ladder? Whew, that's crazy. So, and how did I get to him? I don't know. But I guess I should throw this now, because if this keeps dying, I don't want to talk forever, ever. But anyways, projecting outward, all this good stuff. So this is telling me, giving me a sign, since obviously it's not you guys. Because if this is the reverse, and this is the injury, I mean, who knows? But I'm technically, obviously, I'm injured in my own right. So obviously I can't say it's not definitely not a case of one of us, me against the world kind of a scenario, is the uninjured. And then again, a symptom of the injury is seen it in a sense of superiority, and you can see where having that distorts your perception of reality, because this Marshall McLuhan is not a religious figure as far as telling you some divine. He's a regular, basic, raw, model, organic human being with no special access to any magic information that wasn't readily available. Or I don't know if it's still readily available, because he read a lot of essays apparently, and I don't think those would survive to now. So, but he's right. I mean, it's not, and it seems like an indictment, because part of the injury is feeling guilt, shame, where Marshall McLuhan, again, like I said, he likes to be called a probing individual. You can't be that and susceptible to guilt and shame, because you can't go any further than the pain. So I'm gonna say that this is telling me that I'm injured, and that the injury is a trauma, which means trauma has no deadline until, to bring Carl Jung into this, and I can never find the quote, but I'm very sure that he wrote this: beyond acceptance is healing. So, but within projection is injury. So, if I'm projecting my injury onto you guys, I'm going to reverse it. But if it's not true, then I'm projecting your injury onto me. But I think one way or the other, I think I can handle it. So, that 3D, 5D shit. That's where I was getting that. So that's what I don't think the next is going to be 4D, because it's like we're like that idea. We're on a whole nother freaking, maybe it's not even a ladder. Maybe we used the ladder the first time and now it's a rope or a staircase or I don't know. So, to get to the next dimension, we're going to basically find out that we're to it like 1D is to us. And that means that if you are like trying to depict my head in this next theoretical dimension, you would have to predict. Predict that. Did I say predict? No, not like, like picture. What is that word? I've been saying project so much. If you were trying to depict my head in the next theoretical dimension, you'd have to depict it in a way that the only way we can communicate it in this realm would be to say that it would take the form of everywhere it's ever been simultaneously in my existence, which again, in spec of, people think, well, at best, I'm 46, I think I'm 40, might be 47. I'm 46. At best, at worst, I'll make it to 80. At best, 65's good. I'm good with 65. But so now in this theoretical dimension, it wouldn't be anything that you can see, obviously, even though it's not obvious to you. Because what you don't get is that it's everywhere my head has ever been. And the difference between, I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm not saying I'm the most creative person in the world. I'm just a very good shit talker, and the shit talking motivates me to push further, harder, if you want to say, to become more offensive in one sense. And the one offensive in this realm, again, is a sense of superiority and inferiority. So I got to come up, I got to raise myself up in order to bring you down. So my head right now, like the way you think I'm explaining it is like I'm in a hammock, so my head's swinging. You think I'm talking about this. My head is traveling on the earth, spinning around on an axis, orbiting the sun, which is spinning around something else that we believe is a black hole, possibly multiple black holes, with other suns and solar systems in a galaxy called the Milky Way, which is a series of other galaxies, which are basically, no, anyways, that together, just like the planets, the sun, the galaxies themselves have a grander orbit around okay. So my head in the next dimension, you get it? Can you kind of see? Is not coherent. It's not a coherent image to us. For it to be a coherent image, we have to take that 3D, which is the equivalent in a new rung of evolution, okay, to a 1D segment so that you can get a fucking face. Oh, this is crazy shit out of it, in the hopes of making sense. But for the most part, that other dimension, that theoretical dimension, does exist. And it's more in tune with the psyche for some reason. So maybe, no, we'll just leave that alone. So, okay, if I have a trauma, well, okay, I have a trauma. Well, if I have an unreconciled trauma, we'll say that, okay? You might say there are traumas in my life that I don't accept, or people, obedience to authority, passivity to parental figures, aggression, rage. Well, I drive in LA, so oh, sure, if you saw a video of me driving, you would not wanna, you wouldn't like me as a person. So I say, if anybody ever calls themselves a higher celestial or some kind of spiritual figure, make them drive a car in LA for a month and record it all, and then you see how spiritual they truly are. That's the ultimate test. A month, do a weekend. So actually in today's age, you could have them do Uber for a weekend. That would be pretty cool. So then let's see. Oh, anyways, if I'm traumatized, or I do have the trauma. Okay, that's fine. You get the gist of it. But the reverse of it would be that if my initial reading, analysis, psychoanalysis, or I've stole this from somebody, my initial psychotheory, I like that. This person, I was talking about something, and the person misunderstood me and said psychotheory. And I said, psychotheory? He's like, yeah, isn't that what you just said? I was like, no, but I'm stealing that from you. Whoa, that's amazing. He was like, that's not what you just said. I was like, no. But psychotheory is awesome. So my original psychotheory is that this is telling me what I'm up against. Because if this is an injury that I'm showing you, and it's not the reverse, like I'm trying to fucking concede, then what does this say about the world? I mean, we established, if this is an injury, we've established that it definitely affects you because you're not me, nothing like me. Well, in the sense that we're psychological beings, you're exactly like me. But since the influences that you cling to give you positive reinforce and negative reward and punishment. I don't deal with people that reward and punishment, motherfucker. Anybody that deals with reward and punishment, that's your warning sign. That is your warning sign. That's the line. Reward and punishment is the line. Once you cross it, that's the other side. That's you. That's my enemy. That's what I oppose. It all exists within that bubble. Everything in it is reward and punishment. Everything in it is reward and punishment. That to me is the epitome of hell. So I see this as in that bubble. And therefore I have to justify my aggressive dismissal of it as it's gotta be fucking crazy because because it doesn't make any sense to me. This is fucking alien to me. I've struggled with this my whole life because I thought, like a crazy person, that everybody else must think like me. I didn't realize that I thought like me, and you all think like
intrinsic joy of discovery.
Sorry about
We're in
that.
it for the groupies.
Personally, I find the notion of external rewards demeaning. I pursue science for the intrinsic joy of discovery.
But you always say that you want to win a Nobel Prize.
I also say don't contradict me in front of my friends, or that you don't remember.
That's normal, right? That's normal. I hope it's me. Normal, the definition of normal in the 1939 Webster Dictionary is to conform to a typish standard. That's normal. I will never be normal. Because to me, that's sick. That's really sick. That is fucking crazy as fuck. Mind-numbingly sick to me. I saw that in my family members and my fucking world blew the fuck up because I was like, what the fuck is wrong with these sick ass motherfucking people? I didn't realize it's all you. You guys are all fucking sick. I hope it's me. But it's not. You guys are fucking sick. Sick. This makes sense. Obviously, this is how Catholics, a fucking adult with a kid, will take their kid to a Catholic church at least once a week, some more diligently, because the truth of the matter is, you guys are all fucking sick, man. The Boy Scouts. $80,000 allegations of Boy Scouts. All happen at churches. Not Catholic, but all Christian. Because they're fucking racist. So none of them were Sikh temples, Hindu temples. All Anglican associated. Presbyterian, Southern Baptist, Episcopalian, Methodist, and all the main churches, because those are all organized and structured as corporations, religious corporations, so they can function. So they could own the properties and all that kind of shit like that, and take advantage of the tax breaks. All of them hired law firms in order to protect the church property from being affected by the undenied and totally proven. That was the crazy shit about it. As soon as the Christians realized, the Christians, not the Catholics. The Catholics are a whole other story. They just want they hope. Catholics are different because Catholics pray that their kids serve fathers that serve God. Because that means guaranteed we're good. Whew. We are safe. We don't have to worry about anything now. Just cost one son or a couple or whatever. But anyways, and the Christian thing was, once the Christians found out, holy crap, we're guilty because we provided the venue. And some of the people, I mean, they weren't always their personnel. We're talking about at least 30% of the time out of these 80,000 cases, it was church personnel. But anyways, but then the church itself, well, that was just the personnel. See how the corporate structure is? And they rely on this because the Christians, as soon as they found out that, holy crap, we are guilty, we've got to protect our private property and financial assets. Lest through the victims proving what we know is going to end up being a guilty, and having access as a settlement are God's ego. God's. So you guys right here. That's God. That's, you guys don't see that. That to you guys, that's God. That's real God. They're like, how can we put the churches, the adult Christian freaking people, and this is left and righty, because the Presbyterians and Methodists, are they different than the Episcopalians, and which are different than the evangelical? I know the evangelicals are the far right wing, but if I'm not mistaken, the Catholics tend to be right wing, conservative, because of all their crazy psycho fucking European shit. The evangelicals, Southern Baptists, Anglican Church, but then I believe the Methodists and the Episcopalian, or no, maybe it's the Presbyterian. Either the Episcopalian, whatever that is, or the Episcopal or Presbyterian. One of those is a construct of the Catholic Church in order to have access into the Protestant circle of, because they all do what we call it, like conferences and councils and shit like that. Like this is best seen in the U.S. Supreme Court, where out of the 9 justices, 5 of them are Catholics, and one of them was born a Catholic and converted to whatever it is, Episcopalian maybe, in his 20s, which commentators note is just basically Catholics that claim they don't accept the Pope, but everything, that's the only thing that they deny. All the sacraments, or whatever you want to call it, teachings and beliefs and rituals are carried over, just no Pope. So all those adults, and then coordinated with each other. So you had then within those councils, you had the Methodist leadership, the Presbyterian leadership, the Episcopalian leadership, the Southern Baptist leadership. They don't like the Seventh-day Adventists, and the Seventh-day Adventists don't fuck with them because of their difference on worshiping on Sunday. They believe all Sunday worship is Catholicism, which is, and they believe the Pope is the Antichrist. Not the Pope. They believe the office of the Pope is the Antichrist. And as long as it's open for business, the Antichrist rules the world. And anybody that worships on Sunday is doing so because the only historical evidence, this is according to the Seventh-day Adventists, the only historical, but it's kind of true. It's crazy shit about it. The only historical literary evidence ever of any kind of religious declaration to worship on Sunday in any religious writing comes from a papal decree. It's nowhere to be found in the Bible or anything that's related to the Bible. They have extra books in some cases, apocryphalian, or I don't know what they're called. But even the books that didn't make it into the Bible, there's nothing to do, or no, I'm sorry, not books that, even the books that didn't make it into the Bible, there's nothing to do with worshiping on Sunday. So my whole point to say is that Seventh-day Adventists, I'm not saying that they're good or the best, but I do have to say, out of all of them, they distinctly did not have anything to do whatsoever with the Boy Scouts of America. Just so you know, I'm not trying to blanket all Christians, but it was the bigger organizations that were in on it, because the tie that the Boy Scouts of America has to the royal crown, because it's a construct of the Queen. It's a royal franchise. And they wanted to associate with power, because their whole religious system is punishment and reward. So they seek reward. When they seek reward, I mean, I seek reward in my own right. I masturbate. That's seeking reward. When they seek reward, they seek the approval of an authority figure. And this gets into Stanley Milgram. But anyways, I'm already at 40 minutes. I said what I needed to say. You are all sick. I'm going to make a 1-minute clip summing this up and showing that little cut that's going to sum all this up. But I think I had to show the working out process. And this is the opposite of what content is supposed to be. This is self-surveillance. This isn't even a journal, because it wasn't even really writing anything. I was documenting a process that I was in the act of going through. There's nothing, no cuts, no edits. It was, should I do this? Nah, just keep watching the episode. Wait, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I wasn't even going to be in the video because at first I was just going to show that. Just that little clip, which I can still do. Which I will do, because the other thing that I learned from Marshall McLuhan is through his talking about advertising is multiplicity is real, man. Use it or lose it. It has an effect. And we live in our world, with the world that we live in today, information exists in a vacuum. So having multiple, and I don't have a following, and if you follow me, you gotta stomach some fucking shit. So I don't even think that's possible. But each little component exists on its own, whatever's out there. But I still have a video that doesn't have 3 months ago. It's a clip of Joseph Campbell. What is he saying? It's just a clip of Joseph Campbell. It's 1 minute. And I did it specifically so they would have access to the short video pool. Tagged Joseph Campbell. I mean, I think as a clip, based on my overall body of work, it's a controversial. But Joseph Campbell, just coming out of his mouth, it's not anything bad or to be censored. It's just that when I use it, it has an extra edge on it. But I didn't put any extra edge on it. It's just me being the deliverer is the edge. But that's only for the smidgen of audience that I have. But okay, I'm going to shut the fuck up. Peace out. You're sick. And I pray to God that you suffer and that your sickness eats away at you and sucks the value out of every true source of joy, so that your life is a fucking peppered, speckled, glittered, flickering, flashing, glistening, glaring, fading, nothing. What I would call a baitless lure to draw from fishing, which I never really got into, but I've done a couple times. And I never used a baitless lure. But I like the concept of them. I always loved them as a kid. Why? What's the whole trick to a baitless lure? They're flashy. They're shiny. Bright colors. But I really do hope that your illness takes you to your grave, and when you're there and your life flashes before your eyes, you see, oh fuck, that was never true. I am